Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to dive into a little more battle system. Today we're going to look at combat. I'm going to take a squad of orcs and a squad of humans, and they're going to duke it out. I'll show how the combat mechanics work in melee. This will be kind of an abbreviated version, and I'll mention a couple other rules that might pertain, but I won't be using today because I just want to show the raw nuts and bolts of how to play it. So back into battle system, orcs versus humans today on page 121. Also, real quick reminder, please subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate that everyone that has. Thank you. Just crossed 3,000 not too long ago. I want to keep the channel growing. Also, please take a look at Patreon if there's anything you do to help out there. I've got my eye on some software to improve things a little bit, but I need a little help. So please take a look if there's anything you can do to help. That'd be great. Back to the important stuff from Battle System. Today, melee combat. Okay, we're going to do a combat between 50 orcs and 50 humans. Each figure, one figure represents 10 to 1. So that would be, this is worth 10 orcs. So 5 figures times 10 is 50. And then the humans are also 5 figures times 10, 50. So if you look at their sheets, I'll zoom in a little bit so it's a little easier to read it. I'll start with the orcs. Orcs are at 10 to 1. Armor rating is 8. That means if they get hit, I throw a die 10. For every roll 8, 9, or 10, their armor shrugs off that hit. They take no damage. Anything under that, they take damage. Each figure is worth 1 hit. So 1 hit will remove one of the figures. Morale is 11. The CD is command diameter. That's a different rule. I'll go into it in a future video. But the morale is 11. That is rolled on 2 die 10, and I have to roll that number or less. So it's kind of the opposite of armor rating, which is a little confusing. But 2 die 10, the roll would be 5.5 would be the average roll. So 11 is the average roll. And then they move 9 inches. I'll go over here to the attack die. They're throwing a die 6, and I'll show the chart as we go forward in this. And they have hated foes, dwarves and elves. That would allow different rules to come into play, but they don't apply in this because they're fighting humans. The other thing I want to note is that per the rules, orcs have a sensitivity to sunlight, and they fight worse in sunlight. I don't use that rule in my regular game. I won't be using it in Battle System. For anybody that wants to be purist and, oh, hey, you're kind of cheating a little bit, fine. It's twilight. It's just before dark. Both sides can see equally well. There you go. There are a number of rules in this battle system that I don't use or that I think were rather poorly thought out, and I will call those out as I encounter them as we play. The other thing that's interesting is they have only a 9-inch movement rate, whereas their human counterparts, the human light infantry, have a 12-inch movement rate. The humans, again, are 10 to 1, so 50 humans. Armor rating 8, 1 hit. Morale is 11. Move is 12. Attack dice is 6. You're saying, wait a minute, these two sides are identical. Yes, that means I did it right. I wanted these two sides to be identical so that it would simply be play and dice that would decide things, not just because one side had an intrinsically better thing than the other. So what I'm going to do first is just show the two sides have already met. We've boiled down to these 5 versus 5 figures, 50 versus 50. We're going to go ahead and show how that combat would go. Then I'm going to show if one side has a little more than the other side. And then I'm going to show a charge. So we're going to look at a couple of different things. Now, I'm not going to go into the comprehensive rules for charge. This is just going to be an infantry charge today. I'm not going to deal a lot with morale in this video. I'll say that right now because the morale rules, I think, are a little intrusive in play. And I'll touch on a morale rule here or there, but you're not going to see me really playing them. So, okay, on to the combat. Before I get started in the combat proper, I wanted to show how damage is allocated in Battle System. So you throw a dice, whatever dice you have, and the dice can go all the way up to 12-siders and even a 12-sider and an 8-sider thrown together, things like that. So for this purposes, I'm going to be throwing die 6. And yes, this is an ancient wandering monster dice. I've had this guy for over 40 years. I've got 2 or 3 of them. So there you go. I'll be using that today. Here's a newer version. I love Wandering Monster dice. I still use Wandering Monsters because they're fun. So I'm going to be throwing, as the sides clash, each tile, each figure will get to throw 1 die 6. If the roll comes up a 1, 2, or 3, I score 0 hits. A 4 or a 5, I score 1 hit, and a 6, I score 2 hits. And then you see it goes on. If I were to score a 10 or higher, it's 3 hits, and a 12 or higher, it's 4 hits. That would be for future combat where there are monsters involved, and I'm be using larger dice. But for today, I'm only using die 6. So it's important to remember that a 1, 2, or 3 is no wound. Okay, so here we go. I'll throw the dice out here where everybody can see them. It doesn't matter who goes first in this type of fight because all damage is taken simultaneously. Similar rule to Battletech, where Battletech, it does matter for maneuvering, but for combat, it doesn't matter who throws their dice first. Similarly to Battletech. A lot of stuff, if you play Battletech, the movement in this game is going to seem very similar to you. This was published in '89. Battletech was still in its infancy, so I'm not sure if Battletech stole from them or they stole from Battletech. I'm not sure which, but there's a lot of suspicious coincidences. So here we go. Okay, this will be the orcs on the humans. I forgot to say that. The 1 and the 2 score nothing. The 5 scores 1. 2 6s score 2 each. So that's a total of 2, 4, 5 wounds. So 5 hits, 5 wounds. So we're going to check their armor. It doesn't matter when I roll the armor ratings. I can wait and roll them later. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to roll the armor checks now. These are my armor checks for my humans. The orcs have hit them 4 times. I throw 4 die 10, and anything scoring an 8 or above prevents a wound. Uh-oh! I just lost 4 guys. I rolled a 2, 5, and 2 6s. I did not make a single armor check. The humans just lost 4 tiles. Let's see how the humans do striking back. Again, this happens before any tiles are removed. The humans make their swing. The 1 and the 2, or the 2s do nothing. The 5 is worth 1. The 4 is worth 1. The 6 is worth 2. So they also scored 4 wounds. Let's see how the orcs do on their armor rating. The orcs fail all of their armor ratings. So, for purposes of this, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 humans removed. And I can remove tiles anywhere I want. So if I wanted to stay out of combat, I could simply remove these. And now we're not in combat anymore because we're not next to each other. But for purposes of this, I'll leave these 2 base to base. These 4 will go. So we have 2 that are still facing each other. They will be my remaining combatants. Now, per the rules, anytime a unit loses their first unit, anytime you lose one of the figures, you have to make a saving throw on your morale. So just for grins, I'm going to do a morale. I'm not really considering morale in this, but just for fun. So the humans' morale, I have to roll an 11 or under. I rolled a 5. The humans are fine. The orcs' morale, I rolled a 17. The orcs failed it. The orcs now become shaken. And shaken means a lot of different things. They can't move into combat. They suffer dice, things like that. But for purposes of today, I'm just going to stay with these guys fighting. So now we're down to 2 last combatants. That was quick. So the orc is going to throw his attack. He threw a 1, no hit. Human threw a 3, no hit. We go to the next round. Orc threw a 1 again. Human threw a 6, 2 hits. There are 2 hits the orc has to survive. Now, he's only got 1 hit point. How come he has to survive 2? The answer to that is very simple. He may make 1 armor check. He has to check the other. Every value that comes through gets checked against the armor. So I rolled 2 against 1 hit. So he makes 1, fails it, and just to stay consistent, fails it again. So we have the orc dead. We have 40 of the humans gone with 10 humans remaining on the field of battle. Neat thing about Battlesystem, if you're doing a campaign, is the figures aren't actually dead. You lose a 30% value. Those are actual casualties, people that are dead or too injured to ever fight again. The rest are considered to have kind of scattered to the 4 corners, and they come back later. So now that went pretty atrociously because nobody made an armor rating. So I'm going to go ahead and do another one, same exact. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do the charge next. So we have two sides that are apart, a la Braveheart, a la Lord of the Rings, a la any sword movie you care to name. The two sides are apart. Initiative does matter in this case because one side will get the charge, the other will not. Now, if they were the correct distance apart and they'd have to move forward like 2.5 inches, 2 inches, and these guys would have to move forward 3 inches, I would probably rule simultaneous. But because we're doing initiative for the charge, I'm going to just say, I don't want to go into initiative today, I'm going to say that the orcs won the initiative. So they're going to run in and they're going to strike. And you say, okay, that's no big deal. Wait, because they're charging, they get a value added to their dice. Ordinarily, they would only be throwing 5 dice 6. But because they are charging, they get to add half again their value of dice. So 5 divided by half is 2.5. In this game, you round up. So it's 3. They're adding 3 more dice. That's 3 more chances to hurt my humans. So here comes the charge. There's other things in with charge too. My humans can set to accept the charge. They would do extra damage. But for right now, I'm just going to show the charge. So there's the charge. First things first, I would have to move them. I'll keep the dice roll, but I would have to move them into contact, and the charge goes home. Charges are especially devastating if you have troops on horses or wargs, stuff like that. So for their charge roll, the 1s do nothing. The 2 does nothing. So 3 1s and a 2, it's terrible. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wounds come in. So there are 5 wounds. There's only 5 wounds on the other side. I'm going to throw 5 10-siders. And of my 5 10-siders, I'll push them into the camera view. I failed 1, 2, 3 of my saves, but I made 2. So now I only lose 3 of my tiles. 1, 2, 3. 3 guys are no longer with me. The other 2 still remain. They're going to go ahead and they're going to swing back. Now, there are other rules and charging and things like that. But again, I'm not going to go into it right now. They would have to make a morale check to see if they could swing back. And there's winning and losing combats, depending on how much damage you do and such. But I'm not going to worry about those rules right now. So now my guys are swinging back at the orcs that charged. I got a 4 and a 2. The 4 is worth 1 wound. 1 orc tile has to check. He fails a save. He's going to go ahead and come out of here. So that leaves, for a new round, we're in base-to-base contact. And for whatever reason, we're going to stay where we are. I get to illustrate another thing about formations. My 2 humans make their morale check. They're fine. My orcs are fine. Now they're going to stay in combat. My orcs stay the same, but they go ahead and they get 3 attacks this round. They get 1, 2, they're in base-to-base contact. These guys are touching on the corner, so they would also get an attack. And then this guy could actually wheel around and get an attack, and he would actually have a slight advantage for that attack because he's attacking from the side. So I'm going to do 3 attacks from the front. And a 2 and a 3 is worth nothing. The 5 is worth 1. That's from the front. And then the guy from the side is going to attack. And he rolled a 5. He will get an armor bonus. My guy, instead of needing an armor rating of 8 to save against this because it's coming in from the side, he has to roll a 10. So we're going to start first with the frontal. I failed my save, so I can go ahead and I could pull. I don't want to complicate things. I'll pull this guy. I could have pulled this guy and prevented that attack. And well, it wouldn't have prevented it. I don't want to confuse it. So that's 1. And then this guy is taking a -2, so I have to roll a 10 to save for him. Oh, it just flipped off the 10. He's dead. But before I die, I still get 2 attacks. So here comes my 2 dice 6. Rebuttal. A 4 and a 1, or 4 and a 2. The 2 is worth nothing. The 4 is worth 1 wound. My orcs get an armor check against that. A 10, they buried it. My orcs don't die. My humans are gone. There are 40 orcs left in the field of battle. So that's how, it's a real basic way to do combat. I'm going to show a couple other things before we go today. Here is when they're touching base to base, these orcs are in regular formation, closed formation, and they all get to attack. If they are goblins, for instance, goblins can only be irregular. They would be spaced apart like that, not more than an inch apart. But if they're facing humans, and the humans, for whatever reason, are nice and disciplined, now you see the humans will actually get an extra attack compared to the orcs. Because everybody that's coming in comes in like this. This guy cannot attack. He's out of combat because they're in a irregular formation. Irregular formations can flow through forests and over some impediments on the ground, but they do get less attacks. So in this case, my 4 orcs are in melee, and they are going against my 5 humans. I'll do one more demonstration. I'll go orcs first. The 2s are worth nothing. The 4s are worth 1 apiece. My humans will check their armor rating at an 8. My humans don't make either one. I'll lose 2 humans. So one way to do this in the game is just lay them down. Where are you going to pull them from? Actually, I'm going to pull them from the other side because that gives me a slight advantage on move next time, because that guy will have to move a greater distance to get in. But so I don't forget to do my attacks with the humans, I just lay them down. I don't move them. My humans get their 5 attacks, and they get nothing for the 1 and the 3, but they get 1, 2, 3 wounds on their guys. So 3 armor checks coming in for my orcs. Make 1, lost 2. Now he cannot remove, he being the orc player, cannot remove this guy, nor can he remove this guy because they have to stay in some kind of unit cohesion. So he has to pull from this end. So he has to pull 1, 2 from that end. Okay? And that's the end of the melee. Then we would move and rejockey position. They can change formation from open to closed and such. So that's just a real quick look at the rules. Very, very basic. I know I skipped morale. I know that there are movement stuff that I didn't engage in simply because I wanted to show how the combat itself worked. I think the next one I'm going to show how archery works. Archers are kind of kings of the battlefield in this system, and especially an archer standing up on a parapet is really powerful. But we'll get into that in the next video. So I hope you liked what you heard and saw today. I hope this makes Battlesystem a little more appealing to you. Again, it's drive-through RPG for $5. It's a steal. I recommend it highly. I can't wait to play some Battlesystem. I'm gearing up. We're going to do probably a Saturday where my players will be playing lower level characters and they will be coming into Battlesystem. One of the videos I'll do soon is how to translate your D&D character into Battlesystem and back out. But that's it for today on Battlesystem. Next one I do will be on archers, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.